Forget dragons and minotaurs. The real monsters of ancient myth were far stranger, and far closer to us than we'd like to believe. They weren't just beasts. They were warnings. Reflections of what humans feared most in themselves. Welcome back to Pantheon. Myths in Minutes, where the legends bite back. Hit subscribe before something ancient hears you listening. When people say mythical monsters, they picture Medusa, Cerberus, maybe a minotaur. But every culture had its own nightmares, creatures that never made it into Hollywood but haunted entire civilizations. In Scotland's far north, fishermen still whisper about the Nukulevi, a horrifying, skinless horse demon whose foul breath wilted crops and spread plague. It was a grotesque fusion of man and horse, with a massive head and a single fiery eye, its veins and muscles exposed for all to see. The very smell of it was said to cause pestilence. Meanwhile, in Japan, peasants told of the Joragumo. She would appear as a beautiful, seductive woman, often playing a lute to lure unsuspecting travelers into her home. Once they were trapped, she would reveal her true form, a gigantic, terrifying spider, ensnaring her victims in silk to slowly drain them dry. And in the Philippines, there's the tikboling, a tall, bony creature with the head and hooves of a horse and the body of a man. It's known to lurk in forests, leading travelers astray, making them walk in circles for hours until they are completely lost and disoriented. To break the spell, you have to turn your shirt inside out. These weren't just random, scary inventions. They were morality lessons wrapped in terror. The Nukulevi was a brutal warning against polluting the sea and disrespecting nature. Its rage was a personification of nature's wrath. The Joragumo symbolized the dangers of lust and deceit, a caution against being fooled by beautiful appearances. The Tikbalang guarded sacred forests from human arrogance, punishing those who trespassed without respect. In other words, mythology was the world's first horror franchise, and every single monster had a message. The oldest monster stories weren't really about claws and fangs, they were about consequences. For early humans, nature itself was a relentless predator. Devastating storms, widespread famine, incurable diseases, these were unstoppable forces that felt alive, intelligent, and malicious. So, our ancestors gave them faces. They turned the abstract terror into something tangible. That's how Mesopotamia got Lamishtu, the terrifying lion-headed goddess who preyed on the most vulnerable. She was a child stealer who caused miscarriages and infant death. She was absolutely horrifying, but she also gave people a way to name their deepest fear, the loss of a child. You could perform rituals, offer prayers, and wear special amulets to keep her away. And once fear had a name, once it had a form, it felt like it could be confronted, even controlled. It was a way to fight back against the unbearable randomness of tragedy. Every monster you've ever heard of, vampires, demons, shapeshifters, started as an attempt to explain something we couldn't yet understand. Before modern psychology, profound madness or erratic behavior was seen as demonic possession. Before epidemiology, devastating plagues and epidemics were blamed on curses or vengeful spirits. And those strange, unknown footprints found in the dark after a long night, that was proof that something was watching us from the shadows. The monster was the answer to the unanswerable question. But let's go deeper. Beneath the monsters we know, there are the titans, the primordials, the ones that even the gods feared. In Greek mythology, they speak of Typhon, a 100-headed storm giant so powerful he nearly destroyed the gods of Olympus themselves. His battle with Zeus was so cataclysmic it was said to have created volcanoes. In ancient Sumerian myth, there was Kor, the primeval dragon of the deeper monster that didn't just live in the underworld. It was the underworld. a physical embodiment of the abyss. And buried deep in Norse legend is Jormungandr, the Midgard serpent, a creature so vast that it encircles the entire earth, biting its own tail. But here's the fascinating twist. In every single one of these epic myths, humans aren't the main characters. We're not even side characters. We're the collateral damage. When Typhon fights Zeus, entire mountains burn and cities are leveled. When Jormungandr merely moves in its sleep, the seas rise and cause catastrophic tsunamis. To the ancient mind, these colossal monsters weren't simply evil. They were inevitable. They existed because the universe demanded balance. If the gods represented order, creation, and light, then these monsters embodied chaos, destruction, and darkness, and both were necessary for the world to exist. We're just the fragile middle ground caught between these titanic, cosmic forces. So, do you think the monsters are gone? That we've outgrown them? Look closer, we've just renamed them. The sirens of old, who lured sailors to their deaths with an irresistible song, they still exist. Now, they live on as obsession, addiction. The endless scroll of social media that pulls you in and doesn't let go. The vampires who fed on the life force of their victims, they're still here. They're the people who drain your emotional energy, who take and call it ambition, leaving you feeling hollowed out. And the shapeshifters of legend who could change their form to deceive and manipulate. Now, they're the social chameleons we see every day, putting on different masks for different people, adapting their personalities just to survive or get ahead in the complexities of modern life. Every culture still breeds its own monsters. They've just evolved with us. They wear suits instead of scales. They lurk in our comment sections instead of caves. And deep down, that's why we keep telling their stories. Because every generation needs a mirror for its fears. We need a way to see the darkness, so we know how to face it. In the end, myths never really warned us about beasts lurking in the shadows. They warned us about becoming them. Greed, lust, pride, cruelty, apathy, the real monsters were always human traits. Just dressed up in fur, fangs, and claws to make them easier to see. Ancient storytellers didn't create horror just to scare children into behaving. They built it to save adults from their own worst instincts. So the next time you hear an old folk tale about something crawling out of the sea, or a strange creature lurking in the woods, remember this. It might not be just a myth. It might be a message from the past, a timeless warning reminding us that the monsters we should fear the most are usually the ones wearing our own face. Thanks for watching Pantheon, Myths in Minutes. If you enjoyed exploring the creatures that history tried to forget, hit that like button. Share this with a fellow mythology fan, and subscribe before these stories find you.